Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having just an absolutely amazing day today. Today we're taking a look at the next short story in the Antarktos Cycle collection. It's of things that are written and inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, or things that inspired his. It's a novella that's set in an Antarctic expedition that's supported by Miskatonic University, and has a lot of deeper dives into his mythology and that sort of a thing. So that's the next short story. It's John Glasby's story called The Brooding City for you, folks. It's 15 pages long, and I read it last night for 45 minutes. Now, just as a heads up, John Glasby is somebody who's a big fan of the Cthulhu Mythos and H.P. Lovecraft going up. And he actually submitted a collection of short stories to August Derleth just before he died at Arkham House. And he liked it, and they agreed to publish it as one self-titled collection after this short story in the Brooding City. So they had agreed to do that, but then Derleth died, and his successor basically said no thanks to that idea. And so basically some of his short stories have been published here and there in other places. For example, two short stories that I've read before were published in the new Cthulhu Mythos, which I read back in when it was published in the 90s, and I read it back then. I knocked out a couple of those short stories again and recorded them for you last October, but I haven't done them yet because I saved them when I do the extra ones into my Cthulhu Mythos subgenre of my recordings that are done. So I'll do this one right after I do those two, so that way you'll have 3 short stories of his very, very quickly in a row for you folks. So again, this is set in the Cthulhu Mythos. That is a mythos that was created by H.P. Lovecraft back in the pulp era. He basically retained a lot of his things from one collection to the other. So for example, the Necronomicon, or Nyarlathotep, or Cthulhu and the Cthulhu and the Call of Cthulhu, that sort of a thing. It was a shared universe, and he basically put it all together in the Call of Cthulhu, and then he started to bring in and incorporate things like Sathagua from fellow writer Clark Ashton Smith from Weird Tales, and other people too would share things back and forth. So it was a shared universe even back then. So basically what's happening is, no spoilers, but basically what's happening in the first couple pages in this 15-page short story, I like to give you sort of a context as to what's happening, is that our key character is a collector of rare books and an antiquarian from a few decades prior to this. It's definitely, he talks about the famous archaeological sites and says that this will be as famous or as good as King Tut. He doesn't list to anything else. So does it seem like it was written more recently? But anyway, so it's been a while. But basically what happens is that this antiquarian has come across this banned work by this Italian explorer and occultist who explored and wrote about his expedition down to southern Africa into sea mountains and a lake up in the mountains proper, and there was this ancient and abandoned city. That's the self-title of this short story, right? And he's going to be telling us about what's happening in this journey. So that's 2 pages in. Also in the first couple of lines, he says that he's really screwed up by going there, right, and some bad stuff's going to be happening on the world. As sets that as sort of the framing device, if you will, for what's going to happen in this journey to southern Africa in these mountains. So that's basically what's happening, and the setup of this. Now, it's not deep into the Cthulhu Mythos, like a lot of things from the 2nd and 3rd generations under Derleth were. It's got a couple mythos mentions here and there, but not massively so. So it's fine. So I don't mind it as much as some things from this generation. It was well written, certainly, right? I liked it, but I wouldn't say this was this, but it didn't have a great ending that you didn't see coming. It didn't have a shock or twist ending, right? So I wouldn't say that this is really sort of, going to keep me up at night because of how great it was, right? Or how spooky it was. So it's probably going to get more like a 6.5 out of 10. It's fine. It's good. I'm glad I read it. It's not the most convincing and strong short story ever. You don't want to be left with an ending that's a little under the par for the course. So the editor of this also has edited that book, the book that I talked about earlier. So he's also including this here and talks about those references in this too. Once again, this is published by Chaosiam. I'll link it to you in the comments below so you can find it on Amazon. As a reminder, this channel's name, A Worst Thing About New Books, is a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old ones, right? And this is definitely an older one that we definitely have to go back and read for these folks. So there you are. Did you read it? If so, what did you think about it? Did you agree with this? My 6.5 out of 10? If so, let's talk about it. Or if you're not, let's talk about it more in the comments below. That's what they're for. If you like this video, why not hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon if you're feeling frisky. Let friends know, particularly Cthulhu Mythos fans. And then finally, I just want to pause and thank you just so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video, because we all have so many things that are happening, right, in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.